I'm reading today from Liberating the Heart, Spirituality and Jungian Psychology by Dr. Lawrence Jaffe, pages 118 to 120 of Dr. Jaffe's book in a section called Individuation and the Holy Spirit, Pentecost. In Acts we read, "When the day of Pentecost had come, they were all together in one place, and suddenly a sound came from heaven, like the rush of a mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared to them tongues as of fire, distributed and resting on each one of them. And they were filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak in other tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance." Footnote Acts 2, 1-4. The scriptural narrative goes on to describe how a crowd, many of whom were foreigners, quickly gathered, and how each listener, and this was the wonder of it, heard the apostle speaking in his or her own tongue. This story reminded me of an experience recounted by Gerhard Adler, how upon departing from a lecture of Jung's, he shared with friends his astonishment that in his talk, Jung seemed to be addressing Adler's precise concerns. To Adler's surprise, both his friends took exception, each claiming that their own personal, quite different preoccupations were what Jung had been addressing. I have heard and read similar accounts from other patients of Jung's, in which he seemed to be speaking to the very essence of their concerns which they had not yet revealed to him. For instance, there are accounts of patients coming to their session prepared to discuss an important dream, but treated instead to an hour-long monologue from Jung. The amazing thing was that Jung's words seemed in the highest degree relevant to their dream, and they departed feeling that no direct interpretation could have achieved more for their understanding of it. This seems to be what happens in the company of one who is speaking from the self, that is, out of a connection with God, or out of his or her wholeness. In the scriptural passage we are considering, Peter quotes the words of the prophet Joel in explanation of the phenomenon of speaking in tongues. Quote, "And in the last days it shall be, God declares, that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams." That's from Acts 2:17. The idea is that in the age we are now entering, the age of the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, every man and woman will be capable of gaining access to the depths out of which Jung spoke. It is when we can leave our personal complexes behind that our experience attains more universal relevance. This cannot be achieved through an egocentric wish for power, but is a grace bestowed upon one. As Jesus said, "You did not choose me, no, I chose you."